enough now. A baby's temperament can be one of the most frustrating parts of being a parent, right?
Yeah. Are you ever wondering why your baby's behavior seems so different from maybe that of other babies? It's one of the most frequently asked questions for pediatricians. So who better to ask what's up with our kids than Dr. Don, who's here with us, Don Shiffrin. Always great to see you.
Nice
Doc.
to be here with you.
It's one of the most common questions you probably get. What does a baby's temperament tell us about our kids, even from the time they're born?
Well, from the time they're born, babies have multiple factors, some of them inherited, as we find out later. Yes, they're just like Aunt Mildred or Uncle Jim, that can tell us about how their personal style is going to manifest itself. Babies as young as 2 months can manifest joy, as we know, and smile. And babies 4 months can manifest fear and anger and sadness. And their personal style reflects how they interpret the world, how they react to it, and how they respond to different things in their environment, including things like being wet, being hungry, being tired. So that all parents should understand and be aware of the abilities of their youngsters to respond to the environment, and also be very sensitive to it as well. Because the one thing I get asked a lot by parents is, you know, how can we change what happens when blank, blank, blank?
Yeah.
Or how can we change what happens when parents are with other parents and their youngsters perhaps are not playing with the other youngsters, they're sitting on their laps. So these personality characteristics, which by the way were studied over 50 years ago and are still very accurate today, really produce 3 types of kids. The easygoing kids, the kids that are a little slower to warm up, and then the kids that are a little more difficult and challenging.
Or stubborn.
Well, difficult, challenging, stubborn, refusal to have difficulty with change and transition. And again, those youngsters are a little more difficult. There's only 10% of those youngsters, and 35% of the kids really manifest a mixed change.
So when should we worry about our kids' temperament?
Yeah.
Well, when it becomes dysfunctional in terms of what the family wants to do, for instance, if you want to go to a new restaurant and your youngster isn't going to eat any of the food at the restaurant, they only want to eat the food that's made at home. And again, the goal that parents should have is being able to adapt to this, not to be able to change it. Change will come gradually. And again, we know some adults that are, again, very resistant and recalcitrant to change. But the goal of parents is to be aware, to anticipate those situations where you're going to have to make some changes, and on occasion have to leave those situations where we say, I think this is just a little too much for us. Now, there's lots of hints and links that we're going to put on the website about parents with certain books they can read and certain articles they can have that can help them with this. But the goal for parenting is to be aware, anticipate, and be sensitive and nurturing. Providing that nurturance to youngsters and saying, you know, the food did touch, but remember it's going to be together again in your tummy too.
Yeah. Well, you know, actually we had a question about this with our pediatrician recently, and we said, well, he just gets kind of fussy and needy, and you know, what do? You know me, Dr. Don, I always ask that. But she said, imagine how he's feeling when he's really upset. That's really hard on him too, and that changed our perspective. Like you said, understanding and nurturing, so key.
Yeah, the sensitivity that we can have towards our youngsters, shall we say, inherent personality characteristics, and we may arch our eyebrows and kind of roll our eyes, but again, they're our youngsters. We can't sell them, we can't give them away.
And having empathy too, especially if you have more than one kid. What works for one doesn't necessarily work for another kid, so being sensitive to different kids at different times.
Absolutely, and saying, you know, why can't you be more like your ex?
That never works.
Never works, and again, not exactly sensitive, and again, it may make that youngster more resistant and, as you said, a little more stubborn to change. So adapting and being sensitive, slow but easy, being calm always, as we say. And again, there are certain situations where you should anticipate what's going to happen and try to mitigate those circumstances for the youngsters, saying, it's okay to be with me for a while.
Dr. Don Shiffrin, boy, we love having you in.
Yeah,
thanks so much.
Great to be here.
Love the Snoopy tie, too, today. That's
well, Snoopy had their characteristics with Charlie Brown and Lucy. We all recognize their personality characteristics.
He's a good one.
All different.
All right.
Thanks, Dr.
See you
Don.
next week.